Well, thanks for joining in on this weird ass experiment I'm doing. I am gonna be baking stuff today. I'm gonna be making a Victoria sandwich. If you guys don't know what that is, it looks like this. It's 2 sponge cakes with raspberry jelly in the middle and buttercream frosting. So it's a sugar sandwich between sugar bread with sugar on top. Should be very delicious. So this recipe is Mary Berry, the queen of cake. I did a lot of research on this ahead of time because I'm not on the Great British Bake Off, so I don't need to be doing this with absolutely no clue how to do any of it, and I didn't want to. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started here. This is in British terms, not just like the metric system, but there's like stuff that I didn't know what it was because it's called something different here. So things like caster sugar, which is just ultra fine granulated sugar. We use it in iced tea because it dissolves better. Jam sugar, self-raising flour. These are all things that we don't really have here, so it's a little bit of a learning curve, but I'll talk about all that as we get through to it. So let me switch us over to the counter and we can get going. All right, so the first thing I learned as I'm putting this all together, the first thing that everyone said is that first of all, the sponge, a Victoria sponge, has, which is what the sandwich layers are, the bread layers, so to speak, has exactly the same amount of butter, sugar, and flour. They're in equal proportion. So we're gonna do that. And the other thing I learned is everything has to be at room temperature when you start. Your eggs, your butter makes sense because it has to be softened, but your flour as well, which my flour is never not at room temperature. And then also you have to make sure your oven is you don't want your batter once you've made it to be sitting for too long because I guess it loses air bubbles, and a Victoria sponge is supposed to be very light, very open texture. Yeah. So I am going to just preheat the oven. I have to remember what Celsius. I think it's 350. 350 Fahrenheit is 180 Celsius. So I'm gonna go ahead and preheat that. So her recommendation is to add everything all at once in the recipe. However, I went back and I watched both times because this recipe has showed up as a technical challenge twice in the Great British Bake Off, and I went back and I watched both those challenges, and the person who won each time didn't do it that way. They didn't put it all in together. They creamed it, which is meaning you take the butter and the sugar and you cream them together first, and then you add the eggs, and then you add the flour and the baking powder. So I don't want to say that Mary Berry is lying, but no, she's the queen of cake. We currently live in a democracy, and I'm just going to go by majority rules. 2 out of 3 did the creamy method, and it worked for them, so that's what I'm going to do. First thing we do then is the sugar and the butter, which, again, everything is by weight when you look at British recipes. So this isn't a cup. It's 225 grams. So since I'm ignoring Mary Berry's method for mixing this all together, I figured I should probably, do it by weight so that she doesn't hate it. Just slightly less. Let's see what we come to. Yeah, 215. Okay. Oh no! Put 1 gram extra in. going to be very, very exact. Okay, just 225 grams of caster sugar. And then remember, it's the same amount of sugar, butter, and flour. So I'm going to add this to our mixer. Alright. Oh, 224 grams. Glad I didn't trim that up. Alright. So you can see that it's like all sort of coming together. However, it's not quite there yet. So what they mean when they say creaming butter and sugar together is it should really like, I don't know if you can see this, but you can kind of see how it's got like this sort of granular texture to it. Like the sugar is like mixing in with the butter, but it's not fully in there yet. And what we're gonna look for is it's gonna be really, really smooth and creamy when it's creamed together. It's almost like they call it that for a reason. So I'm just gonna scrape the sides of this again, just to get it all in there. Okay. So I don't know if you can see this. See maybe how much creamier that is. It's not as grainy. It's going to get even creamier when I add the eggs too, but it's not grainy like when you twist it in the light. It doesn't sparkle. It's not Edward Cullen. Sorry, probably hurt some of you with that reference, but no glitter vampires here. Okay, so now I'm going to add the eggs. This recipe, I think, calls for 4 eggs. Let me pull up. Yeah, 4 large eggs. And it all doesn't seem to be incorporating super well. Maybe Mary Berry was right. Maybe I should not have done the creamy method and I should have done it all in one instead. Maybe I should have listened to the queen. I doubted the queen, and
Kristen, how could you?
And now,
how could you?
Now I think I am being punished for it by the gods. She is chosen by divine favor. I'm worried because I don't want this to be overwhacked, overmixed.
One bite of a nature
It's a soggy bottom.
Soggy bottoms. It would be very weird if my cake had a soggy bottom. I definitely don't want a soggy bottom cake.
I have to hug you.
Okay.
Coming in for a hug.
Okay. Huggies.
Okay, now keep making me cake.
Okay.
Sorry, sponge. Sponge.
So, in the UK, my understanding is what we call cake, like just the thing that comes out of the pan, they call sponge. And then once you've assembled it, then it's cake. But before then, it's just sponge. So this is called a Victoria sponge. And when I put it together, it'll be a Victoria sandwich, which will be a cake. So, there's that. So it is getting less lumpy as we go, so maybe I just need to keep waiting and not be so concerned about it. Let's see. It might also be the temperature in here. It might be the butter isn't like room temperature enough because we keep it kind of, it's New England. It's New England in February. It's kind of chilly in here. So I am going to be right back soon. I increased the thermostat slightly. taller. Laughing or something.
We're commenting on how beautiful your setup is to record from so many angles.
Oh, my actual that thing isn't working, so I had to give up on it. The actual camera, it's just a webcam from my computer. Hopefully has not been buffering a million times. It is getting less lumpy as we go.
Yay!
You don't have to stay off camera. They're like hiding over there.
I'm taking a behind the scenes picture.
Well, Paul's just hiding. Jess is getting into it. I hope all three of you watching are enjoying this.
I know I am.
Are you still watching?
Of course, you need viewers.
I have good friends. Alright, this is still lumpy.
You are not only streaming but recording, right?
Yeah, it records on that. Like every stream gets recorded and posted a new video on Twitch, and then I'll download it and edit it. Yeah. What?
You deleted our test one?
Yes, I deleted all 3 or 4 of our test ones. Alright, while this goes, I'm just going to let that sit and mix for a bit. And I am going to measure out our self-raising flour. So in the US, we have self-rising flour, and in the UK they have self-raising flour. You think they do the same thing, but they aren't quite. So basically, in the US, most of the time when you're using self-rising flour, you're making like something savory like biscuits. In the UK, they use it for cake and other sweet things. So the main difference is that self-rising flour, which is the US version, has salt in it. Because again, it's for savory things. And self-raising flour doesn't. But it's basically just flour mixed with a raising agent, in this case baking powder. Now, again, it's equal components of sugar, flour, butter. So the magic number for this recipe is 225 grams, which is about half. So I'm just gonna put a cup in there. And 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So now I'm actually making more than I need. I'm gonna have to take some out. That's how it looks. Because I don't have self-raising flour and I have to make it myself, and I didn't feel like converting cups to grams, and I just made it basically 2 teaspoons. Okay. It's not getting any less lumpy. Just slightly. I'm still really concerned about. I should have listened to Mary Berry, guys. Alright, so. Here.
No.
Sift it in. Hopefully try to mitigate some of my texture disaster here. Sift it. Can you see that's nice and super fine flour? I'm just going to fold it in here a little bit first before I turn the beater back on, and I mostly do this because I don't want flour to fly everywhere. because I already make enough of a mess whenever I bake. Don't need to make it even worse. Just you must have exactly 225 grams of everything. Ah. You probably don't actually need 225 grams of everything. I'm sure it'll be fine. I just don't want Mary Berry to hate me more than she already will for me calling her a liar, basically. But we'll see. This finished product is not here yet. Maybe it's just supposed to be a little bit lumpy when you add the. I don't know. I don't really know, guys. I'm absolutely playing this by ear. But it's looking not lumpy anymore. So yeah, I think maybe just after you do the creaming method, if you're doing this at home and you add the eggs and it's lumpy, don't do what I did and panic and keep mixing it, because you probably shouldn't. I might have lost some air doing that, but you know what, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. So, that's all mixed. Now we're gonna line the cake. The sandwich tins is what Mary Berry calls them. Sandwich tins. We're gonna put parchment paper at the bottom of these, and there's a trick that I have that you may have seen because one, grandmothers everywhere do this, and two, Tasty featured this method not too long ago. So if you're one of those people like me who obsessively watches Tasty, you've probably seen their videos where they suggest that you do it this way. Which is reasonable because everyone should do it this way. Because it's really easy. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to fold this in half. So I just cut a square of parchment paper that's slightly bigger than my tin. We're going to fold it in half again. Okay. And then we're going to do triangles. So we're going to triangle this. And then we're going to...
No.
Amber is currently trying to get Jess's cocoa biscuits with creme pat filling.
She is.
Those will kill her.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to do it. Alright, so you do 2 folds into squares and 2 folds into triangles. Alright? And then you just sort of line the point of your triangle up with about like the center of your tin, which usually, I'm going to bring this up. You look, there is usually, I don't know if you can see this, but there's usually like a little bit of writing right in the center of your tin to help you find your center if you're bad at it like I am. So you do this, and then you just sort of trim it. I'm going to trim it towards the inside, and I always forget to do that. So you just want to trim off once you get to the edge. It's like we're in grade school again, making some things. But then once you've done that, you can unfold it. It'll be a nice little circle-y shape that you can just fit right in the bottom of your sandwich tin. You want a stick of softened butter, and like what I do is I just literally take the stick and just rub it on the sides.
I'm sorry, I'm giggling because your delightful Paparino decided the flour on the floor was definitely worth investigating.
Oh yeah, she investigates everything. She is my little vacuum cleaner around, little trash panda. Did you find it interesting? Alright, so you can see the sides are pretty well like coated with the healthy, just pretend you're Southern. That's how much butter you should use. So we're supposed to put an even amount of cake batter in each tin. I'm not entirely certain how. I guess I could do it by weight. But I don't know how much this bowl weighs that it's in, so I'm gonna have to kind of like weigh as I go. So we want this top to be really, really
I got the other one.
smooth. Because, so the thing is, like, this cake is supposed to rise, but the top is really supposed to be quite flat. Like, it shouldn't have a whole lot of top rise. It should just rise in general. So it's already the middle shelf. We're gonna pop these in. Okay, Google, set a timer for 25 minutes.
Alright, 25 minutes.
So the next step of this is the jam. We have to make the jam, which is a raspberry jam. And jam has seeds in it. The difference between jam and a jelly is jam has seeds and jelly doesn't. The more you know. Alright, so we're at 250 grams of our jam sugar. We're just gonna plop that in the pot. Yum. Alright, so now we're going to put it on the stove and bring it to a boil. Alright, so I know you guys can't see this, but the sugar is in fact melted. So I'm going to bring this up to a higher heat so that it boils. And we're supposed to let this boil for a solid 4 minutes. So, okay, Google, set a jam timer for 4 minutes.
Second timer. Jam for 4 minutes.
The jam timer is up, so we're going to turn this off. Okay. Alright, and she says pour it in a thin dish, a shallow dish, excuse me, which, I'm just going to use a casserole dish. It's still got all the seeds in it, and it's just in a nice, like, little shallow. It's just a casserole dish. Alright, so I'm going to put it in the fridge. And we're going to let that chill. And then we should be able to check on the thing soon. Let's take a look at our bake. Okay, okay. I'm liking how this looks. Very nice. How about you? Also very nice. Alright, cool. These are done. To get a clean tea towel.
Okay, so accepted. I can watch this because I'm really thirsty.
Okay. So we have tea towel over tin. Trade my both hands here. It's magic! I feel like this didn't quite rise as much as it was supposed to, probably because I overmixed it, but oh well. Over wet. Okay. So you can see from the side, I think it might have been supposed to rise. Well, here, let me go back to the inspiration while you guys look at this from the top-down view. Yeah, it was definitely supposed to rise a bit more. So, not quite, but they're, you know, they're about the same size. They're a good color. Pretty happy with the color. They do smell nice. The tops are that light golden brown. It's good. I think it's good. We'll see. We shall see. We're at 100 grams of butter now. Thank you, darling. Alright, just gonna back that up a bit before I add in the sugar. So we're making a buttercream frosting right now, which you make with butter, obviously, and our confectioner's sugar, our third kind of sugar we're using today. So you need 200 grams. Tear, please. Thank you. You need 200 grams of confectioner's sugar, or they call it icing sugar in the UK. It's the same thing. It can also be called powdered sugar. But the point is that we need 200 grams of it, which is almost as much sugar that we have in the actual cakes. 2 cakes worth of sugar just in the icing. A little bit on the sugar to start. Not a ton. Alright, so we got a nice creamy smooth buttercream. So now we're gonna do the thing that I am terrible at, and that is piping. But first, we're gonna check and see how our cake is doing, if it's cooled. Alright, and so we're gonna pick the one that looks the prettiest on top. I'm gonna say is this one. Okay, so this is a sandwich. So we're gonna do something that's a little bit different than what you do with normal cake layering. So usually like you would put it like this, and then you'd put icing, and then you'd put another cake on top like that, right? So we're actually gonna do that. And we're gonna put the jam here, and then the buttercream on top of that, and then this goes like this, just like a sandwich. So you can see, you can like twist it back and forth, and it's really not moving, which is what you want, I think. That's good. So we're just gonna, oh yeah, look at that. Can you guys see that? Like how whooshy and scented that is? Like, look at that. Like, that's what we want. I'm pretty sure. Nice jammy jam. So I'm just gonna sort of scrape this right onto the cake.
Oh.
Jess is watching from the other room and making very suggestive sounds.
Well, that's because your jam looks amazing.
Okay. So you're just gonna spread this like a peanut butter jelly, Paul Hollywood. That dude, I swear to God, like everyone's like, oh, those flavors don't go together. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Of course they go together. He once said peanut butter and banana didn't go together. And I was like, dude, like, come on. I don't want to hold the tip. And we're just sort of making, yeah, this already looks goofy. Oh, well. It looks so stupid, but that's okay. Every time I look at it, I'm like seeing your guys' view and I'm like, lol. This does not look great. That's okay. Just gonna pop that on there. Alright, so tis assembled. Doesn't quite look the same. It is assembled. So now we're going to do the cute bit. Oh no. That's okay. It's just slightly too large. Next time, I should have toothpicks, and so should you. No, baby giraffe.
Hey,
It kind of worked.
You can tell.
You can see like there's the mama and the baby.
The giraffe shape in the caster sugar is quite nice, but I feel it could use some work. It appears some of the raspberry jam is spilling out a little bit. You can see that over here. And the piping is spilling out with the jam.
Yeah.
But good things about it. The cake has a nice even, or the sponge has a nice even coloration throughout. It's a nice golden brown. It's not too moist. I'm really excited to take a bite of this.
Go ahead.
Raspberry jam is amazing. Very good. Like I said, I'm going to need about half of it to taste it, properly. The buttercream adds a nice creaminess. As it should. I'm doing what you asked me here for. Stop laughing at me.
Paul? It's funny because Paul Hollywood is one of the judges. And your name's Paul.
I love the texture of this. I don't like raspberries, so
It's a very Paul Hollywood thing to say.
it's kind of seedy. I'm kind of hoping like one of these times we'll try to make like the same thing, but like maybe blueberries or something for me. The cream is very good.
Mm-hmm.
I think the cake might be slightly overdone.
It has a firm edge to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've seen some of the technical challenges. I think you'd place well.
Depends on how far in we're talking.
Well, yeah.
Well, this was the first one.
I think you did great.
I'm gonna go okay. Oh, Madhouse says with blueberries sounds so good. I don't like blueberries, so. But I can make it with blueberries for you for your birthday if you want.
That's months from now.
I have to make a new thing every week. You can wait until your birthday. It was very good. I like the jam.
Me too.
Definitely would not have gotten the Hollywood handshake though.
No. It wasn't. Your piping was a
Terrible. Terrible is the word.
amateur. Amateur
Terrible.
piping.
Terrible.
Well, no, because it was relatively even throughout. I think you could have had fun with it by making like a spider web pattern on the inside of the cake.
I could have, but you can't actually see it. Alright, well, thanks for watching. I hope you got a laugh out of it. I think I'm funny. Jess thinks I'm funny. Paul can take it or leave it. So, but yeah, thanks for watching. I'll be back next week. I'm making jumbo biscuits, which are like a Victorian version of gingerbread with no ginger. So it should be yummy, and I'm gonna make fun shapes with it, and hopefully they're yummy. So next week we'll have Wayne and Jeanette as our taste testers, and also Paul. And I'll be taking them pretty much immediately to a birthday party if they're good. So hopefully they are. All right, thanks guys. Talk to you later.